Hi, I'm Ian Needham. I'm standing in the middle of this lush green paddock here in the middle of Gippsland. The question is, what's made the difference? The answer is a new product called Revive Recycled Compost. I'm at Gibsons Groundspread in Rosedale, a family-owned business established in 1953. Today we caught up with Damien Gibson, the third generation of the family to run the business.
We've kind of got over 60 staff now and trucks and trailers and tippers and loaders and that, but I suppose the biggest thing has been the expansion of the different services we offer. So rather than just being a spreading business, we've sort of evolved into a more of a service company. So we have complete agronomy staff, as well as GPS farm mapping, complete nutrient recording of all fertiliser applications, complete logistics service now, so we cart grain and rock and sand and everything else. So sort of anything really to that the farmer may need help in, or a better service than he's currently getting.
These days we're talking about soil biology and soil health, because this package is a complete package is the way I see it. It's got nutrient, it's got trace elements, it's a neutral product, it has calcium and it has organic matter, which is really important to the farm process and the soil health. So pretty much the biology helps this whole process, and we're introducing that into the paddocks, and we're getting a source of nutrient, and then any other products we use help all these products work better.
It's made at the Gippsland Water Soil Organic Recycling Facility, so the SORF at Dutson. Uses local green waste from the local area, and also a lot of green waste from southeast suburbs of Melbourne. That gets trucked in there daily. It also treats a lot of milk waste, yoghurt waste. It also looks after some sort of egg waste from a lot of the hatcheries and that. And pretty much anything that's sort of organic in nature can go into a mix, and then it gets blended together that way. So part of the Revive process is it's a two-stage process to make compost. So first stage is pasteurisation, and the second stage is maturation. So the pasteurisation is a process of basically cooking the blended products, being green waste and milk waste and sawdust, for example, all together. You've got to maintain temperatures above 55 degrees for about 2 solid weeks, and they rotate it and turn it and add water regularly through that process. And that's designed to get an even kill of weed seed. So, if you get, the household might have a bit of a weed in the garden, they've mowed the lawns and put in their wheelie bin. The idea is to burn off any of those weed seeds so you don't get contamination across the paddocks. And it also kills any sort of harmful bacteria, salmonella, coli, any sort of diseases that may be present, as well as any insecticides or herbicides that may be in the system. The whole process should typically take around 12 weeks. So 2 weeks is for the cooking, then the next 10 weeks is for the maturation. So that's a process of bringing the compost from a high temperature base, being up to 70 degrees, and over time bringing it slowly down to a temperature probably around the 20 degrees. The idea of that is to make it so it's in a stable form. So quite often if you just put lawn clippings straight on your lawn, they just go yellow and do nothing. So by sort of putting them through a composting process, it allows the organic matter and that to sort of break down and become available to the plant. The biggest problem you have with compost, if it's not done correctly, is if you put it on in an immature form, being that it's only 2 or 3 weeks, through the maturation process, it can actually suck nutrients out of the soil, mainly nitrogen, to try to feed the biology to break down the organic matter further. At that sort of point, it goes through a screening facility, gets screened to 14 mil, all the oversize and any plastics and rubbish and metal and all that gets taken out, and you're left with just a fine product, which is sort of just like potting mix that you'd buy at a normal garden shop or in a bag at Woolworths. So that's the process there. The keys, at that screening stage is to make sure that it smells really earthy, that it's not still stinking or it's not incredibly hot. Basically, if you don't feel that your kids should be climbing all over the pile, then you probably shouldn't be putting on your paddock.
So when we get to the end of the composting process, we're left with a really nice soil conditioner that looks a lot like soil. It's very friable, it's screened to 10 millimetres. You grab it and you smell it, it's got a good earthy smell, which is a great indicator of the quality. And what it brings, I suppose the qualities that it has are a good range of nutrients. Has on average around 30% carbon, and also has a good range of biology that helps build soil.
That's key to any sort of good compost, is a lengthy time frame, you know, and constant testing. And that's probably where the Surf, probably a level above anyone else, is, you know, that 12-week process is basically temperature tested nearly every day, water tested, you know, nearly every day, constantly turned and maintained so that every single batch going out is the exact same as the batch before.
For sure, it's always a good feeling to use something that's, you know, a waste product that where would it go otherwise? And you know, if we can help, you know, get rid of waste, that's fantastic. You know, why wouldn't it? It's a win-win for all. Yeah, and we're not going to use it if it's not cost effective at the end of the day. So. You know, it's got to be thereabouts.
Two processes. You can even go directly from the Surf straight to the farm, or it can go from the Surf to our blending facility, where we can value add it and put in other additives to suit your requirements, and then get it to the farm. That was our next sort of stage, was to go down this Revive blending path. So the ability to sort of make any sort of ration or ratio of product or nutrient that a farmer may need. So we have a complete Revive blend range, the Revive Plus range, and we can blend from limes to gypsums to potassium, which you know, may be required in high fodder crops, or nitrogen, you know, from the dairy situation. So that's certainly made a big difference to farmers as well, because they can sort of pinpoint the limiting nutrient levels within the soil, and they can top the Revive product up to suit that exact requirement.
Revive Recycled Compost is unique in its makeup, and it actually completes the water cycle by reintroducing biosolids to the soils to promote growth.
This tool helps to aerate the soil. It brings microbiology into the system, where it actually produces its own nutrient. So you've got worms and more microactivity coming into the soil. The worms are feeding off the source of Revive and taking it back into the soil process, aerating the soil. So there's part of the process. We put lime on, we put Revive, we can do that in blends, and we have lots of other blends that we can do, sulphate of potash and all sorts of things, which are really much kinder products to these production systems. It's all about getting the balance. And if we can get to that balance process, then the fertiliser that's applied actually produces at its maximum.
You've got a sheep farmer in Bensdale, and you've got an asparagus grower at Pakenham, you know, at the complete opposite ends of Gippsland. So then you've got the mixed dairy country and everything in between. So you certainly can't say that one product suits one particular farmer in one particular area. So by having that complete range, we're able to certainly tailor a certain blend per a certain area to really suit their soil conditions and their weather climate.
Gibsons have got a number of farm maps, so the farmer can ring up and order. We've got the dump location through Google, so the truck driver, the logistics truck driver can actually dump on that right pile, and then the farmer can also give paddock numbers across to the depot manager, which makes the spreader drive be able to go straight out there, unload and start working straight away.
You know, we have a contained sort of site that a spreader and a loader will arrive. The loader just literally puts it in the back of a spreader truck, and the spreader just spreads the paddock. So that's the general process. You know, farmers don't want it dumped on the paddock, or they, you know, in the middle of winter it's hard to get access in. It's also stored at all our depots, and we can bring them out in truck and trailer outfits.
Once the driver gets on farm, he's got GPS tracking in the truck. He'll run long ways to the paddock, so he'll run with the drains, and he'll spread it 10 metres apart, so longest fence line first, and then work from north to south across the paddock.
I think it's nearly 3 years now with the product. So the first 12 months was all trials. So they're all done on farmers' properties. So we have a selected, you know, just a random selection of areas. Everyone's had a crack at it, from dairy, beef, sheep, from veggies to potatoes to any sort of industry. So it's all been based around the farmers' sort of requirements.
This is one of our trial plots with the Revive compost. We've also got current practice as well over top of this. This is 5 tonne to the hectare. The plots have got varying rates of compost. We'll just have a little bit of grass here. Just pull this out. And as we shake it out, you can see it's very friable. The roots are going down, and that's what we find with the Revive. You get a lot of worms as well. Yeah, so your roots go down a lot deeper, a lot easier to get down. It just helps with the soil moisture in the summer as well.
If it's friable, it just means that the water can sink in better and you're not losing water draining away.
That's right. The water gets into the profile, so then it enables the roots to get down, and also helps with the nutrient as well.
We've seen a big increase in our dry matter consumption of pasture across the trial plots. The trial plots, in conjunction with our current practice, have grown around 24% more. Compost on its own, without any other fertiliser through the year, has still outperformed what our current practice was. Our pasture quality has improved, much more palatable feed. The cows go in, consume it all, and perform very well off it.
3 to 6 months into this, the first sort of trials, it was pretty clear that it was doing a dramatic difference to the soil profile. And straight away, after 3 to 6 months of application, you get in there and pull some grass up, and where you had put Revive was nearly, the roots were sort of twice as long as where you hadn't.
I think it's got the worms working in the ground, and it's loosened the ground, it has, because when you get some rain, you notice the paddocks are a little softer than normal.
If you follow that theory right through, sort of what grows below the soil grows above the soil, so the bigger the root system, the more head of grass you're going to get. It also allowed the plant to access more nutrient because it had more roots in the soil, and also access more moisture because the roots were longer. So we're seeing big differences at the start and end of season. So in a dry particular year, heading on October, November, where it might be running out of moisture, a paddock that's had Revive can tend to stay that bit greener for a bit longer because the root depth is that much deeper that it can access more nutrients and moisture in a tougher period.
It's pretty much mainstream now. People are quite willing to use it, yeah. It was a dry paddock, a dry summer. We put it on January, and it sat dry for 6 to 8 weeks. But when the autumn break came and we also irrigated, I noticed a very even coverage of ryegrass going into winter. And I thought, well, if there was any lacking nutrients at that time, it would have been evident in the clumps and between the clumps, where there was no clumps at all. It was just a very even cover.
Well, we're able to grow much better quality, more palatable feed. The energy density of the pasture has improved, which in turn helps hold condition on the cows and puts extra energy into milk production. So we're certainly seeing benefits in that as well.
As well as increasing productivity, Revive helps repair damaged soils, increasing organic matter in a way that helps rebuild and improve farmland.
You can walk into a paddock and just, pretty much pick the area that's had it. It's normally nice, dark, lush green, full of body and growing quite quickly. So the biggest thing for me, I suppose, was on one particular farm that we walked into, I think it was sort of, 18 days after grazing, in the middle of winter, he was nearly ready to graze again. So, that really stuck in the mind that this has certainly got a big benefit and can hopefully provide a good return for the farmers who are willing to put it on.
When we do part of a farm, when the cows go into that area to graze that pasture, they actually see a spike in milk production going through that 3 days a week or whatever they're in those areas for. And then when they go back into the rest of their farm, just back to normal. So hence, whole farms end up using the Revive product.
Over the last 3 years I've been using compost, I've noticed a fairly significant change. A lot of our pastures in the past were unfertilised. We're now able to add nutrient, add biology, and we're seeing a fair bit more pasture growth.
Yeah, with the Revive, you get soil moisture retention with the extra organic matter and microbes. So moisture is always another element that you need to consider. So if you've got moisture for longer, going into a drier period, well, that just speaks for itself, really. Mm-hmm.
There's multiple ways to fix the soil, but I suppose over the years and lots of nitrogen applications and heavy fertiliser applications, you can acidify the soil a lot, and the soil itself can, instead of being nice and friable and loose, becomes quite hard. And a lot of people then really struggle to get moisture to penetrate through and really have the grass flourish. So you know, that's sort of what we're going towards with the Revive, was something to sort of get that soil back in its healthy form, so that fertiliser can do its thing. Because you know, if you don't have a balanced soil, you can lose half of your effectiveness of your fertiliser.
Well, pretty much the farmers, and we work with them on an ongoing basis, and they see an increase in production, an increase in their soil health, richer pastures, obviously more feed for the cows when they're going into those paddocks, so they're getting longer rotations out of it, and it's bringing that balance back into the system there again. So it balances right through, and more milk production at the end of the day means more income, more money, and a bigger net profit.
One thing that we were pretty clear right from the start was the Revive product. It's not a magic bullet. There's no magic bullet out there that one product can fix every issue you got. So it's certainly something that, incorporated within a traditional fertiliser program on your farm, in conjunction with liming sort of program, you can't beat anything better than that.